What's good, YouTube? And welcome to the house. The dust has settled, the field is clear, and Cody Angeloff is a YCS champion. This is a long time coming. This man has had multiple top fours. He has studied the game, won our tournament, the Zodiac Duelist tournament, multiple times, and finally a student of the game becomes a master here today. But that does mean our Trickstar overlords have won. Trickstars finally won. I see how it is. Trickstars, the deck we thought would never be the best deck, combining with the Sky Strikers, become the most represented deck and the winning deck. There's a huge amount of really great names here, and we'll talk about that in a second. Calvin Tahan with ABC, Jeff Jones, Max Reynolds topping together, couple goals. But let's get into this top 32 breakdown real quick. 16 Sky Striker Trickstars top, along with 2 regular. So it is a very dominant force. Those are almost spiral numbers, and a lot of people were kind of naysaying this deck, saying, I won't do it, and all signs pointed otherwise. It was doing well overseas. It was, something the OCG doesn't have, so a lot of people who follow the OCG, this became an intangible that was already underperforming a bit, but throughout metas it has been represented, and it finally rises and bubbles to the top. But 3 Sky Striker Pures were what really should be paid attention to, because all 3 of these win in top 16, win in top 8, and one of them goes on to the finals. That's the kind of the unsung hero of this event. A lot of people said, can't do it without Summon Sorcerers. They can't do it with the tools the OCG has, and we don't. But it did it, and it got all the way to the finals. I've seen so many, Sky Strikers are overhyped, these prices are ridiculous. Yeah, the prices are really ridiculous, but it proved itself here when there's 19 decks using Sky Strikers in the top cut, and all 3 of these advanced to the top 8, including 1 to the finals. That's pretty crazy. 6 Gokis, well represented. That's a pretty good cut of the top cut, almost a quarter. We got 2 Altergeist, 1 ABC, 1 Pendulum, and 1 Spiral. So we have a diverse format where you're not cut down to options if you want to top. Spiral was expected to do a lot better, but as I played the deck, I realized you can play through 1 Ash Blossom, you can't play through Reaper, and if they have 2 hand traps, it stops. Whereas Gokis and Trickstars, they're more simplistic, and also if they get hit by multiple hand traps, you still have a chance of living, whereas Spirals just kind of shuts down, cries, dies. It's rough. ABC more resilient than we might have thought before. I look forward to that profile, Calvin Tahan. And 2 Altergeist, performing about where I thought. I thought maybe 3 would top. A stun deck, it's kind of replaced Trickstar's top, amount. It's really cool to see Altergeist in here, doing it, and actually getting there, represented in the meta, but not the highest number either. So Konami recognizes half the top 32 are using Sky Striker Trickstar decks, a trend which we saw develop even in the earliest rounds yesterday. The 2 themes work together extremely well, but we do have a total of 5 duelists who opted to play just one or the other. The pure Sky Striker deck tends to focus on having a lot of hand traps like Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, so I think the Trickstars do also. The cool thing about the Trickstars also, you can go into the Nightmares relatively easy. You're able to pitch Reincarnation out of hand for their cost, and then bring out more from your graveyard using the Reincarnation for Link Summoning. It's pretty cool. They even do note Called by the Grave and Shared Ride here, but Shared Ride versus Lycoris can mean the death of you if you're not careful. So what's this all mean? What's happening? Well, let's go first into the top 32 names. Hani over here. We got Cody in 5th. Well met. Same record as all of 1 through 5. We've got just a lot of different really great players. Max. We got Calvin Chow. There's so many different people in here that are pros, which leads me to believe one thing. Bowden, of course. Bowden. Oh, that's a huge name. And I am a fan, sir. To mid. Ooh. So Miguel Soto got 33rd, by the way. Rest in peace, Texas Bubble Boy, almost coming back again. this is super interesting because a lot of the pros doing well in a new format. Aaron Furman as well topping after all that stuff on Zodiac. He delivered those cards and has tracking. All this tells me one thing. The pros who know how to interact with their opponents on time already, the people who've been topping already, are able to force their opponents like, hey man, make a play. They're not going to be taken advantage of in time because they're here to compete. They're regulars to the circuit, so they're like, hey man, make your play, let's go. And that really does say something to me about the new time thing. Actually, if we go over here, this is the first event where we do have the end time stuff happening. Simo did a wonderful summary here. And congrats on 100,000 subscribers, Simo. Good job, man. 1,312 players at Jersey. 192 players have draws after round 2. Comparisons to past events. Good job looking up all this data. 8% of the field at Dallas had ties. 6% at San Diego. 8%. 3%. 6%. You're telling me almost over double any other event in percents. 15% of Jersey had ties by round 2. That's almost 1 out of every 6 duelists had ties by the time round 2 was over. You're telling me that's healthy? That's actually just insane. It's actually just not cool. And, I mean, judges actually started getting paid recently. I don't want to think this would be it, but if Konami was in their office and they were like, oh yes, we can shave 2 hours off of events, and that would be around 80,000 a year. If you just do the math. If you say, let's say you have 10 judges average per event between regionals, and you have 400 total regionals throughout a year, you were able to shave off 2 hours, that would save 80 grand. So like, I really hope the time ruling didn't come from there. And like, there's procedure, of course, also like getting the event over earlier, getting people out of the venue. There's pluses here and there, but I feel like this is just not healthy. This is not good for the game, and it should definitely be reviewed and taken into account what's happening. And so I've heard so many people, like usually you hear people complain and quit about sets or decks. I've heard so many people legitimately saying they're selling their deck. I personally don't like the experience either of a draw. We even see actually DZ versus Bowden. Their feature match ends in a draw. This is one of the better feature matches. Bowden said DZ played very, very well, actually. Really cool to see a tuber versus a YCS champ go at it. And sure, it ends in a draw, but like, you've got to review this, Konami. And it feels like Trickstar's got a natural buff, right? In the current phase. Oh, we're going to do some burn. Oh, man. But going, into the top 16, we kind of cut the field down, and the Gokis start to slowly disappear, cut in basically half. We have, it looks like 3 Goki players here. Tahana actually advancing over another Texas Duelist, I believe, Kevin Bortle. And he faces and runs into Cody and falls here. We have so many Trickstars still around, though. We advance down the top 8 where it's Sky Striker versus Trickstar Sky Striker, Sky Striker versus Goki, Sky Striker versus Goki, and Trickstar Sky Striker. Wait, there's 3. Okay, it's Trickstar Sky Striker against Sky Striker, Trickstar Sky Striker against Goki. We got Trickstar Sky Striker against Sky Striker, and Goki versus Sky Striker. So all of the Sky Strikers have advanced to this point. They're actually about as represented as the Trickstar Sky Strikers at this point, hilariously. So pretty darn good, but we go to top 4. There's only 1 peer left. Both the Gokis fall. It's looking very much like Trickstar's events, and in the finals we do get there. But something I actually want to give them props on their coverage for, this feels very metagame.com-ish if you're an old player. They actually started taking pictures and like showing off the Duelist. This is what needs to happen more if you're going to continue not doing video coverage. Give us more of a feel for the event. I would much prefer video coverage, which is also stopped, but like, I want to be able to look in a window of the event, and if you click on the pictures, they actually get relatively big, so that's kind of cool. But I would love to be able to look in the window of these events and see these matchups, see these duelists, see them in action. That's pretty cool. So I do have to give props where props is due, or are due. And we also have the giant cards this weekend were pretty cool, but an introduction that kind of went under under the radar, maybe. I saw it and I was shocked to see such a smaller giant card, and I thought maybe it was a small one. Actually, there's updated pricing to the giant cards with medium cards, or whatever you might call them. Or should I say cards? That's right, there are now additional prizes for everybody's favorite public event. First one wins a giant, while second and third get a pretty big card. That's actually hilarious. So we do see an update to pricing for the biggest side of it already. Usually these giant cards end up going for like 500, 600. If it's a super notable card, 1,000. So cool to see the medium ones. I wonder what they'll go for on the market, as they're still pretty darn big. That is a good term. Pretty big card. Good job, Konami. But this is one of my favorite side events. So the time issue for me, I'm not a fan. What are your thoughts? 15% of them tied. That is insane. That is crazy to me. All of data. Oh, wait, we have an update. After round 4, 27% of the field had dice. 1 out of every 4 duelists had a tie by round 4. Oh, man. I don't feel good about that. I really hope that something changes soon and that we go back, but I don't know. Maybe it is a cost thing. I would hope not, with Konami being as big as they are. Maybe it's a procedure thing, and I hope they review it for the players' happiness, because we come out to play, right? As many turns as we can. As many cards as I can draw from my deck. I want to keep playing when I'm playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And I realize you gotta stop at some point. You can't have like a 5-hour duel, but we could go to Europe rules. We could have 4 times, 0, 1, 2, 3. We could have 4 turns in time at least, and not just in the current phase.